Okay. So yes, I think we will start. We'll let people trickle in if some are still in the waiting room. But I'm very pleased to introduce Harmeet, the Careers Officer at the British Psychological Society, the BPS. You've probably heard about it. Um, it might ring a bell because a lot of the psychology degrees that we are all doing are actually accredited by the BPS. Um, and for anyone who's not familiar with it, I'm sure Harmeet will probably tell us what the BPS is and what it means, especially for your career going into the future. So without further ado, Harmeet, I'll pass it on to you.
Lovely. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for having me. And yes, you hopefully get a good chunk of knowledge about the BPS today. But yes, I am Harmeet Kaur. I am the Careers Officer here within the BPS. Right. So dive straight into it. So who are the British Psychological Society? So the BPS is the UK's main professional community for anyone studying or working within psychology. They bring people together, support your learning and career development, and promote good practice across the discipline. So the BPS also sets the standard for high quality psychology education and creates spaces like events, networks, and online communities where students can connect, grow, and feel a part of a wider psychology world, essentially. We also provide accreditation for psychology courses, training routes, and as well as offering professional development and chartered membership pathways. So, alongside the BPS is the Health and Care Professions Council. They play a very different role. So, the HCPC is the statutory regulator for practitioner psychologists, and it exists to protect the public. They set and enforce the legal requirements for training, conduct, and proficiency, and you must be HCPC registered to use protected professional titles such as clinical psychologist or educational psychologist. So, in short, the HCPC regulates your right to practice while the BPS supports, represents, and develops the psychology community. Okay, a little bit of background for you. Okay, so where can a psychology degree take you? So these are the different areas that we will be discussing today. So first we'll go into the practitioner roles, then we'll have a look at the wellbeing roles, associate roles and academic roles, and then psychology informed careers. Okay. So psychology graduates are highly regarded by employers in many different industries due to the transferable nature of the skills that you will acquire during the degree. I think this can be kind of overwhelming at the same time, but I think it's very important to mention that, you know, during your time at university, it's really, really important to figure out what you enjoy. And I think that can then you can take that into your professional career. I think, yeah, that's really important to try and figure out at this stage of your career. So it might seem easier to have one single training route for practitioner psychologists, but each area of psychology actually requires very different knowledge, skills, and responsibilities. So, clinical counselling, educational forensic, health, they all work with different groups of people. They use different models of intervention and follow different evidence bases. So, because of this, the regulators, such as the HCPC and professional bodies like ourselves within the BPS, we need to ensure that each pathway has its own standards. So, trainees gain the specific competencies they need for safe and effective practice. And when you think about it from the point of view that someone's seeking support, you'd want to know that the professional you're meeting has had the right training and experience for this particular type of help that you need. So yeah, one standard route simply wouldn't prepare practitioners for the different demands for each specialty. Okay, so the next few slides are very text heavy, but they are like this, so you guys can take screenshots or pictures, photos of these slides, just to give you detailed information for each route, you know, what those specific psychologists within those disciplines do, and what qualifications and training routes that you would need to go down, and what to expect really. So I'll give like a little bit of an overview. I think we will have enough time today to go through them all. So yeah, let's see how we get on. Okay, so firstly, clinical psychology, the most popular one. It focuses on understanding and treating psychological disorders, so anyone experiencing emotional, cognitive, or behavioral difficulties. So clinical psychologists work with people experiencing mental, physical health challenges. They assess clients through interviews, observations, and tests, then diagnose and create treatment plans using various psychological therapies. Their work will also include managing caseload, writing case notes, seeing clients, conducting supervision, reflecting on practice, and sometimes doing research. They may also prepare legal reports and act as expert witnesses. They're a really good website to have a look at clinical psychology courses and information about application is the clearinghouse.org.uk, which is on the slide. Yeah. Then we have the educational psychology pathway. The educational psychologists work with children and young people from birth to the age of 25 who may be facing challenges with their emotion, social interactions, or learning. Their goal is to help these individuals feel supported and ensure that they can participate in school and other activities as fully as possible. So educational psychologists don't work alone. They are part of a multidisciplinary team, collaborating with teachers, health professionals, and other specialists. So they also spend time working with parents and caregivers to ensure that everyone's working together to support the child or young person. And then we have counselling. So counselling psychology takes a holistic approach, considering emotional, behavioural, social, and environmental factors, and which affect the person's well-being. So counselling psychologists use psychological theory and research to support people facing life challenges such as bereavement, domestic violence, PTSD. It can help. They can help clients manage lots of different mental health conditions. And I think it's really important to mention that all of these are different pathways. The roles do involve managing caseload, contributing to research, engaging in supervision, and reflective practice. And I think that's embedded within your course already. So I think you'll be getting used to doing that already. I think something to mention as well is the difference between a counselling psychologist and a counsellor. So the main difference lies within the training scope of practice and professional regulation. So for counselling psychologists, that requires doctorate level qualification and a registration then with the HCPC that I mentioned earlier. And their approach is completely different, and the regulation, it's a protected title under UK law, so only those registered with the HCPC can use that title. Whereas a counsellor, their training, it typically holds diploma or a degree in counselling, and they may be registered with a professional body such as the British Association for Counselling and Psychotherapy, or the UKCP, but this is not legally required. So their regulation, in terms of regulation, it's not protected title within the UK, so anyone can technically call themselves a counsellor, though reputable professionals are usually registered with a recognised body. So that is something to look into as well if you are considering any of those routes. I think something to mention as well looking at the table, you would definitely need an undergraduate degree in psychology, which is accredited by the BPS, and then, you know, or the postgraduate conversion course, the master's conversion course, if you don't have an undergraduate in accredited undergraduate in psychology. And then they differ with the doctorates that I mentioned as well. I think some key thing to mention here as well is that I think it's in clinical, not sure if it's all three, I'd need to double check, but they may not require, so you won't, I think it might be all three of these actually, that you don't require a master's qualification. So you won't actually find accredited master's qualifications by the BPS, but I think a master's qualification can be great in expanding your knowledge within that area and, you know, your research skills. So that is why they are extremely valuable as well, but you will never find a accredited one. Okay. I know this is going to be a lot of information, guys, for you to take in. Bear with me, but pacing ourselves, but as this is recorded, so you can hopefully just look back at a different time as well. Okay. Then we have forensic psychology, sports and X, and then health as well. So the BPS offers a number of different postgraduate qualifications across a number of different domains too. So through engaging in supervised practice with an expert psychologist, you'll be able to work within the field to enhance your skills, knowledge, and confidence, whilst the flexibility to balance your training around work and family commitments. So these are called the BPS Stage 2 qualifications, which you can have a look at on the qualifications page on our website. I think it's mentioned within, that is mentioned within this slide as well. I think it's important to mention that while some Stage 2 programs are independent routes, they allow flexible training, and others are university-based or NHS funded, so may require you to have own placements arranged beforehand, but it's definitely essential to check the specific requirements for the area that you would like to go into. So forensic psychology. So forensic psychologists, they apply psychological theory and practice to criminal and legal contexts. So their work focuses on understanding, assessing, and treating individuals involved in the criminal justice system. So they conduct psychological assessments to evaluate risk, mental health, and offending behaviour. Forensic psychologists also contribute to policy development, offer expert testimony in courts, advise parole boards and health tribunals. Again, you know, you'll notice that all of the different roles are heavily varied. You know, I don't think a day would look the same, which is one of the appeal as well as to the role. So, and then we have sports and X psychologists. They work with athletes, teams, and coaches to enhance performance and well-being. They help individuals to develop strategies to manage anxiety, build confidence, improve focus, and stay motivated. Their work also supports recovery from injuries, promotes healthy coping mechanisms as well. So beyond competitive sport, they design and exercise programs to support mental and physical health. So they could work in a variety of different settings, workplaces, prisons, psychiatric units, or, with teams as well, sports teams. They're all combined psychological theory and practical interventions. Then we have health psychology. So you will support patients with a range of health conditions to understand the psychological and behavioural aspects of their illness. This includes helping people adjust to cope with serious or long-term conditions such as cancer, heart disease, or diabetes. You would promote healthy lifestyle behaviours, improving diet, increasing physical activity or helping them quit smoking, create plans for them. So your focus would be on behaviour change, coping strategies, and psychological support. And there's lots of information on this slide, well detailed as well. And I think something to bear in mind as well, that this journey to become a practitioner, it could take up to 10 years. And I think it's good knowing that when you're going into it, and you know, don't let that deter you as well. I think if you really, really love this and one of these areas, and this is what you want to do, please keep trying, please keep going. And I think along the way, you may like a different role that you're doing, and you may stay in that role for, a period of time, and then decide to go into doing a doctorate. But I think, everyone's journey is unique and designed for them. So I think that's something to definitely bear in mind on your career journey. Okay, more tables. Last one. I think for the prediction practice. Actually, is it? I'm not sure. Maybe two more. Let's see. So we've got occupational psychology. So as an occupational psychologist, you would help organisations, employees improve workplace performance, well-being, and organisational effectiveness. So your work involves understanding how people behave at work, developing strategies to enhance motivation, team functioning, leadership, and supporting recruitment, training, and career development. Again, so varied. You may also address workplace stress, design intervention to improve employee well-being, evaluate the impact of organisational change. This focus is on applying psychological principles to create a healthier, more productive work environment. So the focus would broadly be on people's behaviour at work and scope. You would see this within the master's qualification, recruitment and selection, training and development, employee wellbeing and mental health, performance management, and ergonomics and workplace design. It's extremely important. I think HR covers quite a lot of this as well. So typical settings, public sector, private companies, consultancy roles, government agencies, you could become self-employed as any of the practitioner routes as well, which is something to bear in mind. And then, if you would need to, again, register with the HCPC to use the title occupational psychologist. Okay. And neuropsychology, of course. Then we have clinical neuropsychologists. So here you would train as a clinical psychologist first and then do extra training to become neuropsychologist. So neuropsychologists specialize in neurological diseases or neurodevelopment conditions. So they use psychological theory and neuroscience to understand how changes in the brain function affect thinking, motions, and behavior. So their work includes conducting detailed cognitive assessments, developing rehabilitation plans, and supporting recovery. They often work in hospitals, rehabilitation centres, or community settings as part of multidisciplinary teams, and may also contribute to research and training and service development as well. I think there are great charities out there that work with individuals who have neurological conditions, so you could gain quite a lot of experience from those charities if you are looking to go into this route. Okay. Okay, so what is chartered membership of the BPS? Simple explanation for you guys. So a chartered psychologist is a professional title given by the BPS to show that someone is highly trained, experienced, and meets the top standards in psychology, essentially. So to become chartered, a psychologist must complete many years of study and supervised practice, similar to how doctors, lawyers, or engineers gain professional status. So being chartered means the psychologist has proven that they understand psychology at an advanced level, can work safely and ethically, are trusted to apply psychology in professional settings. So the chartered status is widely recognised by employers, universities. It's a public sign of quality, professionalism, and credibility. So chartered psychologists must keep their skills up to date throughout their careers through CPD, so continuing professional development. And another example, or another route is coaching psychology. This is the scientific study of application of behaviour, cognition and emotion to enhance individuals and group performance. It focuses on non-clinical populations and applies evidence-based psychological principles to improve life experience, personal development, and performance. This is another great route that you can go into as well, and yeah, take a screenshot of this if you are interested in this. And I think some one of the key things to mention is that academia, teaching and research, is a great route to go into as well. This isn't these aren't like protected titles, but valid, amazing career routes. And I think this is something that I wasn't aware of when I was studying psychology as well. So I do have a background in psychology and occupational psychology specifically. And I wasn't aware of this. I didn't actually think about this at all. So I think, this is something to 100% bear in mind. And I think, from earlier to in today's like conference, you have keynotes. I think I saw on the agenda as well that there are a lot of academics. So you must already be familiar with some of the work that goes into academia. But I'll just give you guys a little snapshot anyhow. So teaching research in psychology usually go hand in hand. So some teaching staff will have qualified in one of the applied psychological fields, and then they may return to teaching to develop professional practice and conduct research, or simply just share their knowledge. So all university lecturers are expected to help extend their subject by gathering psychological evidence on key research questions and telling others what they found by publishing articles. And I think something to mention here is that, that is a part of their role, but they are key within the academic course structure. They sit on boards as well and help design the course materials. So, and admin can be pretty heavy for an academic. So I think those are the key considerations, I'd say, if you are thinking of going into studying a PhD and would like to become an academic at university. Okay, so that is done for that section. A lot of information there. So I thought it'd be nice to kind of break it up with this slide. So here we have the BPS Member Network. So these, if you do become a member, you will have access to lots of different divisions that support professional development, and you can meet like-minded people that are interested in the same area that you are. Lots of branches, so branches per region. So we've got like London, West Mids, East Midlands, Scotland, for all of our different regions of the UK. So you can connect locally with psychologists and see if, it depends what they're up to, see what you can get involved in really within your areas. Then we have sections as well, focused on specialised scientific and research interests. There's over like 150, so lots for you guys to check out. And faculties as well, bringing together members who share focused professional practice interests. They're definitely worth having a look at. So you guys can take a picture of this or scan the QR code to have a look at further information. Okay, moving on. Another table. So now we're going to be going through the different roles within the wider psychological workforce. So these are excellent endpoint career destinations, or they can be great stepping stone careers to gain a vast amount of experience to help pursue further study and training at doctorate level or one of the BPS Stage 2 qualifications. So we have, I won't go through these in that much detail. So I'll share where you can find further information on these as well. So we have psychological wellbeing practitioners. So these roles came about through the NHS when, I think a few years ago when there was an increase in need for mental health services in the UK. And I think they are extremely great roles. And I think they just provide a lot of different varied experience as well. And you can gain qualifications through them too. So we have the psychological wellbeing practitioner. And so you apply with your degree and you'll usually take a postgraduate certificate. Again, I think it's something to mention is that, yes, they are NHS-based roles. Sometimes, to be fair, they are private companies have been known to advertise these roles as well. I think something to mention is just have a look at the person's specification and the trust that you'll be working for, if it is the NHS, to see what specific or audience and clients that you will be working with, especially with that role. Then we have the children's wellbeing practitioner under the great stepping stone or endpoint career destination. Training typically lasts a year. Time is split between university study and working with young people and children mental health services. And I think, there's qualified, you'd be registered with the BPS or the BABCP. It's something to bear in mind as well. Then we have mental health wellbeing practitioners. Again, training lasts a year. It's split between university and working within a community mental health service. And then we have the educational mental health practitioners. These, again, NHS funded, lasts about a year, training does, but here you'd be trained in a specific client area. So each university that offers this, it will be slightly different. So depending on which population you would like to work with, that's what you'll be trained in. So it's definitely worth having a look at when you're reading through the job role. And they all advertise on the NHS Jobs website as well. Okay. Then we have the clinical associate in psychology called the CAP role. And that is, you'll be working very closely with, that's a master's level qualification, I believe. And it leads to a master's qualification. And you'll be working very closely with a clinical psychologist. So again, it's split between university study and working within a clinical setting. And then in Scotland, the role is called clinical associate in applied psychology. So it's slightly different wording. Yes, and here is some information where you can check out more detailed information about the role. Great roles, I think, and for psychology experience and just to gain understanding of how it all kind of works within the NHS. And as like I said earlier, great endpoint career destinations as well. You can become seniors within these roles. I think it all depends on the trust that you're in as well. But definitely worth having a look at. Okay. Next, we have the psychologically informed pathways. So this, we kind of structured this using the 6 occupational personality types by Holland. So this is where, your psychological knowledge can be applied within these roles, and then you may have to do other courses. I think for art therapists and play therapists, you will have to. But the rest, I think, just from looking at them, and they're all social worker and counsellor, you will have to, and psychotherapist, but in teaching. So I think you can go into it and learn on the job. And I think it's just really handy, a handy test to do, just to gain an understanding of what kind of, what your strong suit is, like what do you like, and it will help you kind of navigate the roles that within that category. So, artistic personality, you might be quite original, intuitive, and imaginative, so you might like to do roles such as art therapy, play therapist, product designers, and marketing professionals. The realistic personality, you might enjoy hands-on or manual activities, but you might also prefer to work with things rather than people and ideas. So task oriented. So here, cyber psychology or AI working within the research department would be pretty ideal for you. It's a conventional personality. Typically efficient, careful, conforming, organised, and conscientious. I think you'd work well under, well-defined kind of well-established chain of command type of roles. So typical conventional careers could include HR, data analytics, and possibly working within the law. It makes a lot of sense with that personality type. Then enterprising personality types, you're energetic, ambitious, adventurous, sociable. If that sounds like you may like to work within kind of partnership roles, sales, consultancy, project managers, where you're managing products and people. Usually psychology students are social personality types, but not all the time. So if you're humanistic, idealistic, and responsible, and you're concerned with the welfare of others, you might enjoy participating in group activities and helping others in terms of their training, healing, counselling, or developing. So these careers, such as social workers, teaching, counsellor, psychotherapist, and learning development officer, could be great for you. And then last but not least, we have investigative personality types. So if you're analytical, intellectual, and observant, and you enjoy research, mathematical, scientific activities, you may fall into this category. So if you enjoy logic and solving highly complex abstract problems, this would be great for you. So consumer researcher roles, behavior analytics, system analytics, something that is, high problem solving. I think that would be, awesome for you guys. I think the key takeaway here is to reflect upon the skills that you'll be getting from completing a degree in psychology, and then having a look at what personality traits that you feel closely align with you, and striving for careers within that field. I think that will give you the best opportunity for success as you move forward. I will share the link as well with you guys for this at the end, or I'll send it across within an email. Okay, right. A selection of different areas and different roles that you could do after you graduate. So these are the top 10 professional jobs for psychology graduates. I think you gain a lot of different experience from them all, and you can apply all of your psychological knowledge. I think the first one is welfare and housing associate professionals, or the psychologists that we have not mentioned today in the practitioner route. HR and industrial relation officers. I think if you're interested in occupational psychology, this could be a great starting point. Therapy professionals, like I mentioned, the art therapist, play therapists. There's lots of different therapists out there that you can have a look at. Primary education teaching professionals. So, if you would like to go into teaching, it'd be awesome. I think, a lot of teachers have then gone into studying the educational psychologist doctorate. Then we have youth and community workers. I think lots of these roles are now popping up within the NHS. So if this is something that you're interested in, definitely worth having a look at the NHS jobs. And advertising and marketing. So I feel like this isn't talked about that much. So marketing is about capturing attention and communicating ideas effectively. So to succeed, marketers need to understand how people think, feel, and react to certain cues and discuss products or services. So I think drawing on psychological principles, this can offer valuable techniques that help professionals in the industry connect more meaningfully with their clients and customers. And it's actually a growing area for psychology graduates to go into. Then we have secondary teaching, child and early years officers, and police officers as well. Okay. A lot of talking from me. So Lots of different roles here as well. So work experience that you can do during and after your study. So I've kind of split this up different sections. So we have healthcare and clinical settings, social care and support roles, and then we've got education and child development. So various different roles that you can do now and later. So depending on what area, interests you now, you can kind of work within that area already. And and also right now it's a great time to experiment. So have a look at if you do have some time, capacity to fit this into your schedule. This is something that you could definitely take a look at. Worth taking a picture of this as well if you're interested. Okay. I think also something to mention is you can join the BPS and Circle network. So one of Circle is our online communities, and there's lots of different things that you can attend, events, and you can find mentors through there as well. And there's a student area where students just share information about lots of different things that they're doing. So yeah, it's a great way to connect. I think volunteering in charities, mental health charities, is within your area as well is I think it's extremely valuable. You can also volunteer online as well, and it also apply for university research roles if that's something that you're interested in. Gain some supervised academic experience. You could even shadow some lecturers as well within your university, like an area of subject that you're super interested in what they are interested in. I think that's like the key thing there. Just see if they are available or they're looking for a research assistant, or if you could just shadow them, that would be great. You could also approach private practitioners for admin or shadowing where appropriate. So we actually have a list of chartered psychologists. It's within the directory on the website. So if you click on find a psychologist, then you'll see all of our different directories there, and you can drop them an email or even drop them a message on LinkedIn. Great way to connect with people. Some more categories for you guys as well. So we've got fitness, exercise, rehabilitation, public health and community, and then the research and admin roles for you as well. And I think something important to mention is that even if it's not the role that you want to do, and if you're in that organization, which that is what they do, and it's something that you are interested in, you can also always move within different roles as well. That's something to bear in mind. Okay, right. So we have lots of different resources on the website. So if you scan that code, you will get a copy of our careers booklet. It has all the different roles that we mentioned today, and they it's much more user friendly. It just looks better as well, like all the different colors. We have like a day in the life section for all different roles. Yeah, and there's lots of different questions that have been answered by individuals that were kind enough to provide some information about their roles. Definitely worth checking out. I'll leave this up there for you guys to scan for a moment whilst I take a sip of my drink. Lovely. These are great too. I love the tube maps. So we have one for all of the different areas mentioned. So these are also linked on the website. Yeah, I think they show step by step exactly the route to take to become a practitioner psychologist, all the different qualifications that you may need, and work experience as well. If you would like to check them out, they are also on the website. Lovely. Okay. We also have some job profiles that I feel like some have already, yes, some are already live. I think the wider psychological workforce roles are live. So again, you can scan the code and this will take you to the job profiles. We've been working on these for a very long time. my colleague has, and would like that, would like to cover all the different things that, you may need to be aware of. I think also to mention prospects, if you're not familiar with their website right now, it's a great website to have a look at different job profiles as well. But yeah, we're trying to make it more user friendly. Definitely worth checking out. Okay, events. So the BPS offers lots of different events, lots of webinars, workshops, conferences, and career focused sessions for psychologists at every stage of their journey. So for students, there's a lot going on right now as well. We are creating more events, and if you become members, you have access to events, within the community as well. So you find lots of different content on here. So we will be sharing we have a careers festival, so we've got a lot of information, a lot of speakers presented during that festival. It was so great, and we will be sharing that on BPS Learn as well, which is the online learning platform that we use. Its access is free, and paid events are tailored to your interests as well, so definitely worth checking out. Some are free, some are paid, but I feel like the ones for students mainly are free and included within the membership. Gilk. Insight series. So this is something that is new. It's a new series, and it's for anyone curious about psychology or how psychology intersects with real world issues. Great event to check out. There's already some recordings on BPS Learn. Definitely worth looking into. And then I think we have, some of the upcoming ones. So if you guys do join or you are already a member, you will have access to these events as well. I think the Career Changers Club is for postgraduate students. And then the body doubling session is for students. So as we are in exam season, I thought, that would be great right now. So worth checking out as well. Okay, so top tips and next steps. So connect with your BPS student ambassadors. If you know who they are, please do connect with them. Visit or arrange a meeting within your careers and employability service to discuss careers and ideas and pathways. So just going back to the BPS student ambassador. So within your university, the BPS student ambassador, if you do have one, they would have made themselves aware to their whole cohort at the beginning of the year. If you don't, then you could always become one as well. So more information on that will be on our website as well. Please explore the BPS Careers Resources. There's a lot out there. There's a lot more that we are creating, and I hope that it will be useful for you. And we're open to suggestions too. So please just drop us an email, or pop a question in the community, or any kind of information that you would like to share in the online communities, and we can discuss this. And become a student member if you haven't already, and get involved in the member networks and communities once you do become one. I think they're great opportunities to network and find like-minded individuals. Another ad for you guys. You can scan the QR code, and your first year of membership is free, so you can have access to all the good stuff, all the events for free, which are included with your membership. Right, we're nearly wrapping up, so I'm going to leave a good amount of time for questions as well. So just move forward swiftly. And we have the postgraduate community, like I mentioned earlier as well. So this is a dedicated space for postgrad students and graduates. Or graduates who are studying postgraduate qualification even. But yeah, there's lots of clubs. there's a lot going on in the postgrad community actually, so definitely worth checking out as well. Thank you very much for listening. That is it. And I will stop sharing now and take any questions from you guys. And I appreciate I have been talking for a very long time, so thank you very much for listening.